In a time when Western-themed movies are rare, and Western video games even more so, it appears that the Red Dead Redemption franchise's Wild West open world has struck a chord with gamers in a way that few games have. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. A Grand Theft Auto game set in a realistic creation of the American frontier sounds good on paper, and based on reviews, sales, and social buzz of the second game, it surprisingly works just as well as it sounds. This latest release from Rockstar has some people confused, however, because despite being titled a 2, it's actually the third game in the series. That's right, the multi-million best-selling Cowpoke Adventure series didn't start with John Marston back in 2010.
You see, Mr. Marston, you have the exterior of a violent man, but the soul of an angel, and that is what I think I cherish most about you.
For the history of the Red Dead series, we'll have to go all the way back to the early 2000s and look not at Rockstar, but at another gaming giant, Capcom. The legendary Japanese gaming company first announced Red Dead Revolver in 2002, and it was being developed by Angel Studios. At E3 of that year, a very basic trailer for the game was shown, and it was said to be the spiritual successor to Capcom's own Gunsmoke arcade game that was released in 1985. However, the first Red Dead game didn't make it much further than a trailer and some ideas, as Capcom cancelled it a year later in August of 2003. In the meantime, Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of Rockstar, acquired Angel Studios and gave them a new name, Rockstar San Diego. With this acquisition also came the unfinished version of Red Dead Revolver. Higher-ups in the company saw a lot of potential in the Western game, so Rockstar picked up the rights to it a few months after its cancellation and gave their new San Diego chapter of the studio the green light to begin development once again. In May of 2004, Red Dead Revolver was completed and released on the PS2 and Xbox to favorable reviews, but nothing revolutionary, selling just over 140,000 copies during its initial release, and falling just short of 1 million copies within its lifetime. Compared to its first trailer under Capcom, the game's progression was quite impressive, especially in the graphics department where a distinct, mature Rockstar style can be seen, while containing fairly standard arcade-style third-person shooter controls, with one exception: the Dead-Eye mechanic, which was something new to the genre. The story, too, was greatly improved under Rockstar, going from a sillier narrative that included flying cowboys and wizards to one grounded in history, set during the 1880s where a bounty hunter named Red Harlow sets out to avenge his parents' murders. The one thing it did share in common with the initial Capcom version was its heavy influence from spaghetti westerns, primarily those of Sergio Leone and the famed Dollars trilogy. But, as mentioned, Revolver was met with a mediocre reception, so Rockstar San Diego went back to working on their most famous series at the time in Midnight Club.
Best way to help me is to put a bullet in that man's brain. Get going, bounty hunter.
The San Diego studio wouldn't begin work on what would become Red Dead Redemption until sometime in 2005, a good year after Revolver's release. But this time around, the Western-themed project would involve input from all of Rockstar Studios the world over, meaning that over 800 people were working on the follow-up to Red Dead Revolver, though not all on a full-time basis. The research team for the game was greatly expanded as it aimed for a more realistic representation of the West that involved many trips to the Library of Congress in Washington. The shooting mechanics of the first game were updated with modern standards, but everything else, from the open world to dialogue and wildlife, was all brand new.
Holy sweet mother of mercy.
All of this was aided by the use of motion capture and professional voice actors. A short tech demo of the game was shown at E3 2005, but the title wasn't properly announced until 2009, with a release date of April the following year. It failed to meet this release date. There are claims of a troubled development cycle at the time, with outsiders hired to correct its course, and was pushed back to May for more polish. By the time Red Dead Redemption was set to release, it was one of the most expensive games ever made, coming in at anywhere between $80 to $100 million. Luckily for Rockstar, it paid off, as it was released to critical acclaim across the board, winning multiple Game of the Year accolades and eventually selling over 15 million units.
Well?
Oh. Poor John.
With a renewed emphasis on realism, Red Dead Redemption was set in 1911 and tells the story of former outlaw John Marston, who was forced to track down his former associates in the Dutch Vanderlund gang, during a time when the Wild West was being replaced by modern civilization. The game ran on Rockstar's Rage engine, most notably used in GTA 4 at this point, but also needed slight upgrades to compensate for Redemption's rural world as opposed to an urban one.
Come on.
See you at the finish line!
While the game carried the Red Dead name, the only similarity it shared with its predecessor was the Deadeye mechanic. Redemption evolved to the point of offering a morality system for players' actions and also included online play, and well-received DLC content highlighted by the zombie-themed expansion pack, Undead Nightmare. It also took a less campy view of the West, though still retained much humor by drawing influence from darker, more modern westerns like Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven and HBO's Deadwood.
You want me up here?
You, go take your bath.
With the second game being a smash hit, fans dearly wanted a sequel, and, for some time, feared that Redemption was a one-off from Rockstar. GTA 5 hit store shelves in 2013, but Rockstar was tight-lipped on whether we'd be returning to the Wild West soon, or anytime at all. It would be another 3 years of speculation until an official announcement by Rockstar was made on social media confirming that Red Dead Redemption 2 was in development, had been since the release of the last game, and would be released in the second half of 2017, though 2 delays pushed it back to October of 2018. As more details emerged, we learned that not only was the third game in development, but it was being made by the entire Rockstar family full-time, not just the San Diego studio.
If you can shoot a gun and ride a horse and kill without thought, you're in.
However, just prior to the release of the game was embroiled in controversy. In an interview with Vulture, the game's lead writer Dan Houser claimed that employees were working 100-hour work weeks to deliver the best possible game experience. His comments sparked outrage across the gaming community with concerns of overworking employees. Rockstar later clarified those claims, saying that the 100-hour work week only referred to the senior writing team, with intense work sessions only being voluntary. The company even lifted an employee disclosure ban, allowing its workers to speak candidly on Twitter. While everyone obviously had a different experience, some employees did state that they did indeed work long hours, though nowhere near close to the 100-hour work weeks. And while some disputed the claims that overtime was voluntary due to peer pressure, most still gave fairly positive anecdotes.
How much you cost, anyway?
Well, ain't that a nice way to talk to a lady?
Oh, I didn't know I was talking to a lady.
Still, all that work seems to have paid off, as Red Dead Redemption 2 currently sits at 97% on Metacritic at time of writing, and is the hot favorite for Game of the Year. With gamers currently enjoying drinking coffee and brushing their horse in Rockstar's latest open world, it's unclear as to whether the Red Dead series will continue. But then again, as of time of writing, we don't even have the online component of the game yet, and if GTA 5 Online is any indication, there won't be a fourth entry in the series anytime soon, because Red Dead 2 will live online for many more years to come.
When you get back, we'll be moving on. The rest of you, let's ride!
Check out these other great clips from Mojo Plays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.